So, here's my thoughts / review on the Beatles 64 documentary that just came out on Disney Plus a few days ago. So at this point, I have rewatched it about, boy, this sounds obsessive for how short a time it's been out. I think I've rewatched it about 3 times now to really get a good feel on how exactly I feel about it, because I feel like first viewings aren't always necessarily fair on stuff like this. Sometimes it needs future rewatches, because the first time you watch it, try as you might to have low expectations so that they can't be shot down. There's some element of, once you know what's in it, what's coming, where your expectations lie, and what not to expect from it, you can sometimes appreciate it more. So I did that a couple of times over to really give it the fairest shot possible of seeing truly and as unbiasedly as I can say anyway how I think. The fact that I'm having to preface it with all that is probably giving a pretty good indicator kind of where I'm sitting at with this one, but it's not all bad. I have mixed feelings about it, to be fair. Things that I like about it right off the top of my head. The sound quality, phenomenal, which I think I had already mentioned just from the trailer. I could already tell that much, but actually seeing the whole thing, yeah, I'm very impressed with that. Moreover, visually, a lot of the footage, not all, I realized that some of it was in such poor quality to begin with that they couldn't do a whole ton with it. So, they were limited to a degree, but they did the best they could with it. But most of it seems like it's been remastered in a way to where it looks really crisp and clear for what it is. Especially a lot of those clips, knowing what it used to look like before this restoration job, they made it look so crisp and clear. I'm actually very impressed. Is it as crystal clear as, say, Get Back? No. No, I don't think they used the MAL technology or wherever the hell it was that they used for that. I don't think that was a thing here. Maybe for the audio, but not so much for the video, I don't think. This was a Scorsese project. This wasn't a Peter Jackson project, so I think that also has something to do with things. I liked that. I liked the additional footage that we got out of this one that we didn't previously have from anywhere else. Is a lot of it stuff we've seen before? Admittedly, yes. I will mention that, yes, a lot of it is not new to us, but there is a good amount in there, albeit in a lot of spots it doesn't seem like that much extra tacked onto certain things, but cumulatively across the whole thing, they've added quite a bit of stuff that we didn't have before. Now, that is not to say all is perfect, because there's other things I hate to be so nitpicky, I hate to be that person, but the fact that they kept using songs that weren't even written yet in 64 for this, they used In My Life at one point, they used She Said at one point, they used, what was the other one? There was at least 3 that were from 65 and 66, I forget what the other one was, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why is this here? Did they do their homework? I feel like they didn't do their homework. So, I know that's me being very nitpicky. That's on me, but objectively, I'm right. So, there is that. So that's one thing right there. Secondly, when it comes to all the talking heads in this, do I feel like maybe there's a bit too much of that? Yes, I'm not saying that all of it's unwelcome, because some of it genuinely paints a picture and really creates a time capsule of that moment in time for what it was. But some of it, I'm like, why are we hearing about this chick's, weird dream about George Harrison noticing she was wearing a bra and kissing her on the cheek with suction? Did this really need to be here? I guess it's painting a picture still, but that one seemed like a strange move. And there's a few clips like that where I'm like, why exactly are you telling us this for this documentary? I'm confused here. But then there's other parts that honestly I feel like really added to it, and they help shape more of what this is supposed to be, an encapsulation of the 1964 US tour. Granted, do we already technically have that with the Beatles' first US visit documentary? Yes. And would I say Beatles' first US visit is objectively better because it's not so overloaded with talking heads? Yes. But I mean, it's not all bad because again, we do get things here we don't get anywhere else. So I'm not gonna knock it. But to me, it's kind of in the same vein as the Get Back documentary was, being a companion piece to Let It Be. This, I feel like, is a companion piece to First US Visit, which now that that's there, I'm hoping maybe it'll be a similar thing to where after Get Back was on there, it created enough buzz to where we made enough of a stink to get Let It Be added on there. Granted, they did edit it a little, but you know what? Close enough. Close the fuck enough. I'm hoping maybe if there's enough eyeballs on this and enough people asking for it, maybe we can get First US Visit added on there too. I don't know if that's even so much as an option. I also like that there was current Paul and Ringo interview clips. I would have liked to have seen more of that though. Personally, just for me. I did notice right off the bat, especially Ringo when showing off like some of the old outfits, I was like, oh, this was filmed the very same day as, like, the little video thing that's built in for the Ringo Beats and Threads, the, like, super deluxe version that has the built-in embedded video player. This is from that filming day. I recognize it a mile away. So, I mean, it's kind of cool seeing more stuff that didn't make it into that either, and yes, I have seen that. I don't have the super deluxe one, but I have been shared the video, so I've seen what it consists of, but some of it seems like samey, some of it seems like unused footage from that. And maybe this was the thing that was originally being filmed for, then it got thrown in as like a special bonus for the book. I don't know, it could have been either direction. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't really change anything. It's just an observation. But, man, listening to Paul talk, it really becomes evident, the age in his voice. I felt like, while he's still here, why did you not utilize him more than you did for this project? There should have been so many more clips with Paul, but then again, you have to look at it in terms of what is there to say that hasn't already been said. Especially when it comes to that first US visit tour. I mean, at this point, you can go back chronologically and find things, interview clips, you name it, from all over the place that probably anything you would want to hear from him, he's probably already covered a dozen times over, minimum. So, you know, there is that. I would have liked to have heard more from Ringo. We got some, but I mean, I would have personally, biasedly, enjoyed more Ringo. It was kind of interesting seeing the particular George and John clips they spliced into it. A lot of the George stuff, you could tell, came from the anthology. Just like that whole clip with the Gonzalez family watching the Ed Sullivan Show on the TV. That was in the anthology, but this is like a longer, uncut version of that, which was kind of cool to see. The John clips seemed to come from various talk shows and things. The George ones were a bit more extended than what made it into the documentary, plus you actually get to hear the interviewer speak, which I don't think we ever got with the anthology. We just got each of the guys, like, what they were saying, but we never heard the interviewer ask the question, so it's like, oh, this adds a whole... It seems like such a minor thing, but it adds a whole other dimension to it for me. So, I mean, that stuff's all great, but is it groundbreaking? Fuck no. Is it anything that we didn't already know? No. Not in the slightest. So, I mean, there's parts of it that are kind of interesting. There's parts of it that, I mean, I've heard very mixed, varying accounts of. Like, personally, of the other people that weren't Beatles directly that were involved in this, I was very much looking forward to hearing from Smokey Robinson more so than probably any of the other guests that they have in there. Almost every review I have seen of this thing so far has shit on the Smokey Robinson thing. Now, while I can't claim to be a fan of his cover of Yesterday that was thrown in there, and it also, again, doesn't entirely make sense to include it since that's a 1965 song, not 64. I know I hate being that person, but it is what it is. But I get why they did it, because, I mean, he's talking about the Beatles covering his song, so I guess to make it full circle, to really paint the picture, they included his too, even though it doesn't exactly fit for this, but, again, is what it is. It's not my project to edit, but there's certain things where I'm like, decisions were made. They aren't necessarily the decisions I would have made with it, but it's fine, it's watchable, it's still enjoyable, and especially once you've gotten over your own expectations of what you think should be in it versus what is actually in it, I think it helps because, I mean, in the subsequent viewings that I've done to rewatch it and really see, like, do I really feel as negatively as, like, my first knee-jerk impulse? No. No, I don't. I mean, I went in, admittedly, with kind of lowered expectations for it. I don't usually watch reviews for a thing before I have watched it, but on this one I kinda did, and did it maybe color my judgment? Maybe, but I feel like I would have come to these same exact conclusions on my own either way. So, for me, I don't think it really changed much, if anything, of what I'm saying right now. But I did give it the benefit of the doubt by watching it through a couple more times, across a couple days even. And I'm just like, okay. So, the times I rewatched it after, I was able to appreciate it more just for what it is. Is it something I see myself going back to a crap ton of times? No. Is it something that I see myself, when I should go back to it, am I probably gonna fast forward around to just get to, like, the actual Beatle clips and just watch those and kind of skip through the rest? Also, yeah, admittedly. And this is one of the places where the actual first US visit shines, because for that, it primarily really is just surrounding them. No bullshit from other people. Do we really need that? No, we really don't. So it's more faithful to just being all about them. I kind of had hoped that this would be like that, but seeing all the names attached to the project, I knew it wasn't gonna be. It is what it is. If I had to give it a number score, as of this moment, I feel like I would maybe give it a 3 out of 5. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst. I've seen so many worse. Like, don't get it twisted, don't think that I'm shitting on this, but do I feel like, in some ways, they kind of phoned this one in? Yes, I do. In some ways, do I feel like this could have been done a lot better than it actually was? Absolutely yes, 100%. So, I mean, I would have liked to have been able to give this a higher score, given how excited I was after seeing the trailer, but even in seeing that trailer, I had a good dose of trepidation, since I think I knew in my gut that how much unique stuff could they possibly have here that we have not already seen? We're getting to a point where any new stuff found, we have already pretty much seen all the good stuff, so we're gonna start scraping bottom of the barrel for the new material that turns up. I get that it's limited. I know that going in. I try to manage my expectations appropriately when coming to stuff like that, because I know damn well that it's not an unlimited supply of stuff. We can't pull it out of thin air. Don't anybody bring up the subject of AI and be like, well, unless they create some out of whole cloth. No. And by the way, no. But, so just for what literally already exists, that's all there is ever going to be. Sure, they can be derivative with things like this by having people share their personal stories from around that time, including Paul and Ringo themselves, but of the actual footage itself, there is a very finite amount of that exists. It can be spliced all different freaking ways, in different orders, to try and tell a slightly different version of the tale depending on who's trying to make what out of it, but at the end of the day, there is only so much to pull from. So, at this point in time, 60 years later, how much is left unseen and unsaid? Probably not a lot. So you know going in, it's largely things you've already seen and heard. So don't be upset about that fact, because I feel like just logistically knowing this, just acknowledging it and being prepared for that, it does help. Now, when it comes to newer fans who maybe haven't seen this stuff before, maybe it's more mind-blowing for them. But for those of us who are diehards who've been around for a long time, like I said, a lot of it is just stuff we've seen, and I mean, I enjoyed seeing it again. I enjoyed seeing it cleaned up and remastered and just looking so crisp and clear and sounding so good. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm very grateful for what we got. Can I even really genuinely say that I expected something more? No, I really can't, because I wasn't expecting more out of it. But just objectively, as a documentary, objectively compared to other things in the Beatles canon catalog, I really can't in good conscience rate it higher than a 3. It is what it is. I didn't hate it. It wasn't my favorite thing, but I mean, there's parts of it that I absolutely love that I'm probably gonna, snip into, shorter videos just for myself for easier referencing. So, I mean, again, it's not a total wash. It's not one of those things where it's skip it. No, I think you should absolutely give this one a try and just watch it and see how you feel about it. It might just be something you watch the one time and never revisit. It might be something that you watch a whole ton of times, or anywhere in between. I think it's one of those where it's definitely worth the watch, even if it is largely things that we already had from other places, be it the extras features on the First US Visit DVD, be it from bootlegs. A lot of it, yes, it's same old, just in better quality. But for the stuff that is new, if you are a diehard fan, I think you're going to enjoy seeing those extended sequences of things. There are certain parts in it, though. I have to admit, let me sip this real quick. There are certain parts in it where the editing, I have questions about what they were thinking. Like one part in particular, seeing them in the car, listening to the radio, and the DJ's going on about the whole poetry reading thing. It cuts Paul off before we ain't written no poetry. It's gone. They snipped it right before that line. And that's what made the whole scene was that line right there. I'm like, oh, so close, but so far. But, it's minor nitpicks like that, where I'm like, it's not the end of the world. We have the footage elsewhere, but just of the editing choices made, I wouldn't have handled them the same way, but that's why it's their documentary and not mine. So, anyway, that's about all I have to say on this one. Like I said, it's okay. It's fine. It's kind of middle of the road. Little mediocre, but at the end of the day, it's fine. It's still worth a watch, I think. So, anyway, that is it for this one, guys, and as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more, it's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Get your name on the end card for a month from the time of donating. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.